Good morning, students. I welcome you all for yet another session of biology. Now, students, in the previous session, we were dealing with the respiration in case of human beings. There we studied that respiration in human beings has two parts, that is external respiration, that is breathing, which is a mere exchange of gases, and internal respiration, which is nothing but the breakdown of food materials, that is oxidation of food material to liberate the respiratory waste carbon dioxide, and along with that energy is also released out in the form of ATP. Okay, so this was what we had done in the previous session. Now in today's session we will study about the respiration in case of plants. Now, what are the parts of the plants? The plant shows the parts like the root, the stem, as well as leaves. Now, what is the peculiarity about the plants? The peculiarity about the plant is that in plants, these individual organs, they perform their own respiration. That means this individual organs have got certain structures in them which will help in the exchange of gases. Okay. Now, at the same time, in case of plants, there is a little transport of respiratory gases from one part to another part. Now, next peculiarity about the plant is that the plant has a branching shape. That means the plant shows the presence of branches. Since it shows the presence of branches, the surface area is large as compared to that of the volume, because of which only the process of diffusion is enough to supply the gases to the different parts of the plant. Okay. Now, students, as I discussed in the first point that there are different structures in the leaf, stem and the root to carry out respiration. Now, we will study these individual structures. Now, students, this is the respiration in leaves. Now, the respiration in leaves takes place through minute openings which are called as the stomata. Now, in the stomata, can you see these blue bubbles here? These blue bubbles are of oxygen. Can you see the oxygen entering into the stomata? And now what is there? The respiratory waste. Can you see these yellow bubbles which are coming out? And this is nothing but the carbon dioxide which is released out as a respiratory waste. Because respiration is nothing but taking in of oxygen and releasing out carbon dioxide. So here this gaseous exchange in the leaves is taking place through the stomata. Okay. Now let's come to the next part, that is respiration in stems. Now the respiration in stems takes place through the minute openings in the stem which are called as the lenticels. Lenticels. Now this is called as, the structures are called as lenticel because they are lens shape openings. Lens shape opening, so they are called as lenticels. So students, here can you see a lenticel in a stem? Can you see those blue bubbles which are entering inside? That is the oxygen. Can you see the yellow bubbles which are coming out? That is nothing but carbon dioxide. So in case of a stem, the respiration takes place through the lenticels. Next, you are going to study respiration in root. Now you know that root is an organ of the plant which is present underground. That means it is inside the soil. So if it is inside the soil, how it will respire? Now the root will respire with the help of the air which is entrapped between the soil particles. Now you know that the plowing is done so that the soil becomes loose. So when the soil becomes loose, the air will get entrapped between the soil particles, and that air which is getting entrapped in the between the soil particle is utilized by the root to carry out respiration. So you can see this is a root, this is the root, and the root is carrying out respiration. But the root is carrying out respiration through which structures? Now in the root, can you see the small thread-like structures? The small thread-like structures in the root is called as the root hairs, and through the root hairs the oxygen is taken inside and carbon dioxide is released out. So I hope you by this time you might have understood the respiration in different parts of the plant, like that of the leaf, the stem and the root. At the same time, you would have understood what are the structures which are utilized by these different organs. Okay. Now, students, students, the next part we will study the relationship between photosynthesis and respiration. Okay. Now, my dear students, photosynthesis is a life process. It is a life process in which the plant is utilizing carbon dioxide to produce the sugar, that is glucose. Now, photosynthesis is a part of nutrition. It is a nutrition part of the plant. Okay. Now, photosynthesis, as the name itself suggests, photo means light and synthesis means production. So, this process of photosynthesis will take place only in the presence of light. That means it is light dependent. Okay. Now, let us come to the next life process, and that is nothing but respiration. What is respiration? Respiration is a life process in which we take in oxygen, and that oxygen brings about the breakdown of glucose to liberate energy and the carbon dioxide, which is a respiratory waste. So it will be releasing out carbon dioxide. Okay. Now, what is the relationship between both this process? Now, if you might have listened to the definitions before, like what is photosynthesis and what is respiration, now you might have seen that during the process of photosynthesis, what are we using? We are using carbon dioxide to produce the food and liberating what out? Oxygen. Now, students, that oxygen which is liberated by the plant is utilized for the process of respiration, because in respiration all the organisms take in what? Oxygen to bring the breakdown of food material. And what does it liberate out? It liberates out carbon dioxide. And that carbon dioxide is itself used for photosynthesis. So that means these two life processes are complementing each other. They are supporting each other. Okay. Now we will study respiration and photosynthesis in the different part of a day. That means we will start for the entire 24 hours we will study. So before that, I just want to say one more point, that photosynthesis is a life process which is much faster than that of respiration. Now students, here we have the picture of a picture, that is what is happening during dawn. So dawn means the early morning, when the sunlight is just passing, just coming onto the earth's surface. I meant to say coming onto the earth's surface, just a little bit of sunlight is there. Since there is a little bit of sunlight, definitely the rate of photosynthesis is slow, because the availability of light is less. So here the speed of the photosynthesis is matching with the speed of respiration. So what is happening here? Whatever oxygen is liberated at the time of photosynthesis will be utilized for the process of respiration. So here the photosynthesis rate is equal to the respiration rate, and no exchange of gases occurs between the leaves and the environment, and this takes place during the dawn. I hope you might have understood this. Now let's go to the next part and let us see what happens during the daytime. So daytime, that means ample amount of sunlight is there. When ample amount of sunlight is there, plants will definitely carry out photosynthesis. And you very well know that the photosynthesis, the rate is much higher than that of respiration. So during the daytime, what happens is, here the plant is taking in carbon dioxide. You can see the plant taking in carbon dioxide, and it is actively engaged in the process of photosynthesis. So when it is actively engaged in the process of photosynthesis, it is going to liberate that much amount of oxygen. Okay, it is producing so much amount of oxygen that the amount of oxygen in the plant is in excess, and the plant is not requiring it. So the plant will release out into the environment, into the surrounding area it is releasing out. So that's why during the daytime we see that the plants are liberating oxygen outside, because the rate of photosynthesis is higher. I hope you have understood what happens during the daytime. Now let's study the interrelationship during night. Now during the night, Now that means light is not there. If light is not there, that means what is absent, students? Photosynthesis is absent. If the photosynthesis is absent, that means the plant is totally dependent upon the atmospheric air for oxygen. So in the night, here you can see that oxygen is entering inside for the process of respiration, because photosynthesis is absent. Since photosynthesis is absent, the plant is dependent upon the atmospheric oxygen to carry out respiration. So you can see the oxygen entering inside. After the oxygen entering inside, now in the night time, when it undergoes respiration, it produces the respiratory waste, that is carbon dioxide. Now the carbon dioxide is a respiratory waste, so it cannot store it in the plant. So since it cannot store, it's a waste. How can you store the waste in a plant? So what is the plant doing? The plant is throwing it out. So can you see the carbon dioxide gas which is coming out at the night time? Yeah. So this is what happens during the night. Okay. Now, students, I hope you have understood the relationship between photosynthesis and respiration during the different time of a day. Okay. Now students, during the night time, I have told you previously that the stomata is closed. So you might be having a question in your mind, then how is the gaseous exchange taking place? So let me tell you, during the night time, I agree to the fact that the stomata is closed, but the gaseous exchange is taking place through the lenticels. Okay. Now students, let us do the activity 6.4 of your NCERT textbook, because we are completed with the theory part of respiration. Now this activity 6.4 of the NCERT textbook is to prove that carbon dioxide is released at the time of exhalation. Exhalation, that is throwing away the foul air. Okay. Now here what I do is I am going to take a test tube, and in that test tube I am going to fill it with lime water. Lime water is nothing but the calcium hydroxide solution. Okay. Now this calcium I am going to put a cork to that particular test tube, and I am going to connect a bent tube towards it. Through the bent tube I will ask a student to exhale inside. So the student will start exhaling inside. Slowly after some time, what I see that the color of the lime water changes. Why the color of the lime water changes? Because as I mentioned to you, the lime water is calcium hydroxide, and now here the student is exhaling and giving in what? Carbon dioxide. So the calcium hydroxide gets converted to form a compound called as a calcium carbonate, which gives a milky coloration. Can you see the milky coloration of the calcium carbonate? So this proves that carbon dioxide is given out at the time of exhalation. I hope that activity was clear. Now we will do the activity 6.5 of your NCERT textbook, and here we will do an activity with, related to anaerobic respiration. Now students, here I am taking glucose and distilled water solution. To this glucose and distilled water solution, I am adding the microorganism, that is yeast. You can see yeast, it is a fungi, a unicellular fungi I have added to the glucose solution. Now after I add this, what I do is I close the mouth of this conical flask by means of a cork, and the cork here has got a bent tube, and that bent tube I insert it in the lime water. Now I keep it standing for some time and allow the anaerobic respiration to take place. Okay. Now I am closing the mouth of the conical flask with the cork, because it is what respiration? Anaerobic. So I don't want the interference of the outside air, because you know that anaerobic respiration takes place in the absence of oxygen. Okay. Now here you can see after some time what happens in this lime water. Can you see the bubble here? Yeah, this bubble is because the carbon dioxide is liberated. Now I will keep it standing for still more time. When I keep it standing for still more time, can you see the students that the color of the lime water has changed over here? Okay, it has become milky. This proves that what is carbon dioxide is released at the time of anaerobic respiration. Can you see still the bubbles are there, liberating what? Carbon dioxide. So this activity proves that during the anaerobic respiration of the yeast, it is releasing out carbon dioxide. And you know that the anaerobic respiration of yeast involves a part which is called as a ethyl alcohol fermentation. So at the time of ethyl alcohol fermentation, the respiratory waste is carbon dioxide. Okay, now in the next picture you can see here I have shown the picture of a dough. Now the volume of the dough has increased. Why the volume of the dough has increased here? Because I have added yeast. So yeast is helping in fermentation of the dough, and when the fermentation takes place, yeast is liberating ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide. So actually the carbon dioxide gas is getting trapped all over the dough. Inside, no, the carbon dioxide gas is getting trapped, because of which you know what happens, the dough will undergo inflation. Inflation, that means it will enlarge in size. So can you see the enlargement of the dough? Now this dough is used for the preparation of breads. So when I prepare the bread, whatever carbon dioxide is trapped in between this dough, that carbon dioxide escapes. And when it escapes, it gives a porous structure to whatever food materials I prepare. So have you seen the pores in case of a bread? Now the pores in case of a bread is the place where the carbon dioxide was trapped in the dough of that bread. Okay, I hope you have understood this activity too. Now we will discuss activity 6.6 of your NCERT textbook. Now in this we are going to study about the breathing rate of the fish, and we will compare it that of human being. Now students, all of you know that the fish takes in oxygen which is dissolved in water. But the problem is that oxygen is sparingly soluble in water. So the fishes have to put more effort to take in oxygen from the water. So the respiratory rate of a fish is much higher than that of human being, and the respiratory rate of a fish is around 90 to 100 times a minute. Now let us compare that with that of the human beings. Now in case of human beings, we know that the atmosphere contains 21% of oxygen. So we have ample amount of oxygen outside, so we may not breathe that faster like a fish. So our respiratory rate or breathing rate is less, that is only 12 to 20 breaths per minute. I hope you have understood this activity too. Now students, this marks the end of the respiration part of the lesson, life processes. Now we will start with the next part of life processes, and in that we are going to study about transportation. Now transportation, that means you are going to transport something in your body. And who is a transporter? And the transporter is nothing but our fluid connective tissue, that is blood. Now, you may wonder how the respiration, that is one life process, and transportation on the other life process, how are they interrelated? To understand that, I will tell you some facts about respiration. Now, students, all of you know that the functional unit of a respiratory system is nothing but alveoli. Now, in a human lungs, there are about 400 million number of alveoli. And if this 400 million number of alveoli were to be flattened, the total area would be 80 meters square. That means such a vast area. Why nature has given such a vast area for the lungs? So that there can be maximum exchange of gases. And you know this exchange of gases takes place by a process which is called as diffusion. Okay. Now let's go for another fact. Okay. Now it has been found out that to transport one molecule of oxygen from the lungs to the toes by the process called as diffusion, it takes 3 years. That means it takes 3 years for a molecule of oxygen to move from the lungs to the toes by the process of diffusion. No, this is not happening, correct? Are we taking 3 years? No. Then, thanks to the process of circulation or transportation, or thanks to blood which is containing RBCs, which makes the transportation of gas much quicker, much faster, because of which we are surviving. So this is the relationship between respiration and transportation. Respiration is taking up the gas and it is just putting it into the blood. It is the blood which is transporting it in a faster rate to different parts of the body, because of which we are surviving. Is it clear? Yeah. So transportation in case of human beings takes place by blood. All of you know that the blood is a fluid connective tissue. You know that the blood is red in color. So here I have shown a blood vessel. It is showing the different elements of blood or components of blood. That is the plasma, the red blood cells, white blood cells and the platelets. So all of you can see the different components of blood. Now we will study each component in detail. Components of blood. Now in this components of blood, the first component you are studying is plasma. Now plasma, you can see here yellow color I have marked. Plasma is a liquid component of blood. Now the fluidity of the blood is because of the plasma. Okay, so you can see here this is the plasma. It is a liquid component of the blood. Now what are the constituents of the plasma? Now the plasma consists of 90% of water. At the same time, it contains the dissolved substances like the digested food, the waste material, the respiratory gases and different salts are found in the plasma. The plasma is a colorless liquid. Here only to denote the plasma, it has been colored yellow. So it is basically a colorless liquid, okay, of the blood. The blood is red in color because of the presence of RBC. So let's go to the next component of blood, and in this we are going to study about red blood cells or red blood corpuscles. Now the red blood cells, they are red in color because of the presence of hemoglobin. Now human red blood cells do not have nuclei. Since they do not have nuclei, they survive only for a limited span of time, and that is 120 days. The RBCs in case of human being help in the transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide, that is the respiratory gases. So students, can you see the RBCs here? These are the RBCs. Now let's go to the next component. That is, we are going to study about WBCs. So can you see the WBCs here? Now let me tell you students, these WBCs are colorless. But here it appears colorful because we have stained it. We have applied dye. So since we have stained it, it is appearing colorful. Now WBCs are the ones which fight against the infection. They fight against the infection by producing chemicals which are called as the antibodies. Since they protect us from infection and fight against the infectious germs, now they are often called as the soldiers of our body. Now let's go to the next part. That is, we are going to study about the next component. It is very important component, and that is nothing but blood platelets. Now what are the blood platelets? The blood platelets, you can see the white part over here. This is the white part, is the blood platelet here. Okay. Now blood platelets are actually the tiny fragments of a special cell which is formed in the bone marrow. The special cell just gets broken down to form small pieces or fragments which forms the bone marrow. Which forms the blood platelets. The blood platelets do not have a nuclei. Now what is the function of a blood platelet? The blood platelet help in the clotting or the coagulation of blood in a cut or a wound. So in the next slide we will see now the wound is covered by a blood clot. So students, here this is a wound. Okay, and this is a wound. This is a wound, and the wound is being covered by a semi-solid mass, and this semi-solid mass is nothing but a blood clot. What is the importance of the blood clot? The importance of the blood clot is that it prevents the undue loss of blood. Undue loss of blood means unwanted loss of blood is prevented. At the same time, it prevents the entry of germs inside the wound and prevents the further infections of the wound. I hope you have understood all the components of blood. Now let us see the functions of blood. Now the blood is basically, it is transportation which is carried by blood. So let us see what all the blood transports. The blood helps in the transport of respiratory gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide. Blood helps in the transport of digested food and hormones. Blood helps in the transport of waste product from the liver to the kidney. The blood protects us from diseases. The blood helps in maintaining the body temperature. Okay, so these are the functions of blood. So students, we have spoken about blood and we have seen the components of blood. We saw what all the blood is transporting, correct? But who is the one who is making the blood actually move in the body? And that is nothing but our organ, heart. The heart is pumping the blood. Because it is pumping the blood is continuously moving in our body. And the blood is moving through the structures which are called as the blood vessels. Now the blood vessels in case of human beings are of three types, that is arteries, veins and capillaries. So now we will study about the blood vessels. Now students, can you see this is an artery? The artery is dividing to form finer branches which are called as a arteriole. The arteriole is still dividing to form still finer branches, that is nothing but capillary. Now, can you see many capillaries are uniting together to form a small structure called venule, and these venules again unite together to form a vein. So this is a relationship between an artery and a vein. Arteries divide to form smaller blood vessels which are called arterioles. Arterioles still divide to form finer structures which are called capillaries. These finer structures, the capillaries, unite together to form a venule, and many venules again unite together to form what is called as the vein. Okay, now here you can see the artery, the wall of the artery. You can see the wall of the artery is thick, but what about the wall of the vein? The wall of the vein is thick. Why is the wall of the artery thick? Because the blood is under high pressure in an artery, so it has got thick wall, whereas in case of vein the blood is under low pressure, so it has got a thin wall. Okay, now students, at the same time, can you see the valve inside the vein? Okay, where you can see that in an artery the valve is absent. So presence of valve is a characteristic feature of a vein, whereas the valves are absent in case of an artery. Now artery is a blood vessel which will always carry what type of blood? The pure blood, that is the oxygenated blood, whereas a vein is a blood vessel which will carry impure blood, that is a deoxygenated blood. Okay. Now let us see still more difference between arteries and veins in the next slide. Now, difference between arteries and veins. Now arteries, they carry the pure blood from the heart to the different parts of the body. But then what does a vein do? The veins collect the impure blood or the deoxygenated blood from the different parts of the body and return it back to the heart. Now, the arteries are deeply situated in our body, whereas the veins are superficially situated. Arteries do not have valves. Veins shows the presence of valves. So, these were some of the differences between arteries and veins. But students, there is an exception. Exceptional case is there. The exceptional case is regarding the pulmonary artery. Students, you know the artery carries the pure blood. But there is one artery which carries the impure blood, and that is nothing but the pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery is the only artery which carry impure blood or the deoxygenated blood. And the pulmonary vein is a vein which carry what type of blood? Pure blood or oxygenated blood. Generally the veins will carry impure blood or deoxygenated blood, but here the pulmonary vein is the one which carry pure blood or oxygenated blood. So that was the end of the blood vessel, that is arteries as well as veins. I suppose that all of you might have understood what was taught in this session of biology. Now students, this marks the end of the session. Now you have some assignment questions here. You have to explain the process of respiration in plants. So you will talk in with regards to the leaves, the root as well as stem. Okay. Then you have to explain the interrelationship between photosynthesis and respiration. You have to explain it in short during the dawn, during the night time and during the daytime. to explain the different components of blood and distinguish between arteries and veins and what is a blood clot. Okay, you know that it is nothing but a semi-solid mass which is going to plug a wound, and how it is helpful to us, that also we have discussed. Okay, I hope all of you might have understood. Okay, now thank you students.